broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Ed Group from Global Healing Center. I hope you tune in and listen to Justin and Kate's Extreme Health Radio. It will transform your life, and you will get all the best health information you need.
Dr. Ed Group.
I love that guy.
I like to call him the Brad Pitt of holistic health. Huh?
Nice.
He does look like Brad Pitt, though,
he
doesn't
does a bit, doesn't
he?
he?
Yeah, he does. We just saw some pictures of his office the other day.
Very inspiring workspace, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks pretty amazing.
Yeah, very zenned out, very cool.
Yeah. And so we are going to talk today with Mr. Shawn Stevenson about sleep.
I'm so excited.
I know.
Yeah.
And as I was saying before the show, I had a horrible sleep last night.
So did I.
I've got 1,000 questions, so maybe we can get to the bottom of this.
I had a horrible one, too, so it's a great day to have him on.
Oh, my gosh. This is going to be good, though. We're really excited. His new book came out, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about sleep and all the things that go along with sleep.
And we already have questions in the chat. So we have a lot to get to.
A lot to get to. Great show coming up for you. This is episode
259.
259 with Shawn Stevenson. And for reference, today is Monday, June 2nd, 2014. You thought you were going to have to chime in there,
I sure did, but you got it. You got it covered. You did your homework.
That's right. This is episode 259, and we broadcast 4 days a week live on the internet at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you'd like to join the show, join the chat room. And then on our Friday show, you can call up and become a part of the community and get your health questions answered. Hopefully, we don't have all the answers, but we can hopefully set you in the right direction. Maybe refer you to a website or something like that, or a book. So that's what the Friday show is all about. And we do shows 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. And if you'd like to join the show, you can always email me, Justin, at ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
Or Kate, K-A-T-E, at ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
And we also have a little voicemail tab on our website. You can pre-record a voicemail for any of our guests right from our website and your computer. You can do that. And that's always a great way to get your question answered, too, without writing an email form. So that's something to consider. And if you guys would like to support this show, a lot of people have been doing this lately. It's been really, really helpful to us. And they've been going through Amazon, through our link on Amazon. So if you go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, and there's links to that on our website, every single time you make a purchase there, that will help support our work and keep it free.
Yep, we're so stoked. Thanks, guys, for doing that. It really helps out.
Really, really excited about that. So thank you so much for doing that. So that's a great way to support our work. And today we've got Shawn Stevenson. He is an amazing guy. His website is theshawnstevensonmodel.com, and we originally met him probably about a year and a half ago down in San Diego.
I think it was exactly a year ago.
And you said his eyes were dreamy.
I did, and I'm going to stick by it. I love Shawn, and I love his eyes.
I love his eyes. And he's the creator of the Model Health Show. He's got his own podcast. He's just written a book, and he's got a couple different products. He's also got a really great product that we promote called the Fat Loss Code. We'll put a link to that on the website. And he's got another interesting product I saw on his website a couple days ago about your knees and your joint health and stuff. So
yeah, you mentioned that. I want to hear all about that.
Yeah, we'll talk to him about that. He's been keynote speaker for TEDx, and does all kinds of work around the world, doing speaking and seminars and working with people around the world with his health and nutrition, all that kind of stuff. So resident nutritionist Shawn Stevenson. So thanks so much.
In the house.
In the house. Thanks, Shawn, for being on.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
This is great.
Yeah, we're so excited. So we talked to you originally, I forget when we talked to you originally, but when was it that we met up in person? Was that a couple years ago?
That was a year ago.
In San Diego?
I think Kate is right on the money. And by the way, that is the best compliment I've ever gotten in my life. To be dreamy, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Kate.
Oh, I mean it, Shawn. You're great.
I know, dreamy eyes.
Dreamy eyes. Not many people have those kind of eyes. There's something about you. You're magnetic.
Well, I received that.
I love it.
Well, you are most welcome.
I love it. So what have you been up to lately?
Oh my goodness, man. Just,
What have you been
I'm on
up
a
to?
mission, and my modus operandi for being alive is to really help people, to help change the health conversation in the world. And, I'm just at a point, not that long ago, I got really fed up and just tired of seeing people suffering needlessly, And of course, I'm here in my clinic now, but over the years, of course, I've had a lot of face-to-face, battles with issues that I knew shouldn't have been there in the first place. But
Right.
it all came to a head not too long ago. And I'm just like, I've got to do something radical. I've got to do something more impactful to reach out. And it's so funny because, my thing has been in my clinic, which is mainly focused on nutrition and exercise. And the health conversation usually stops there, but I was looking at like some of these people have really
Hey, Shawn, are you still there? Wow. Hey, Shawn, are you still there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, something happened. You went into a weird kind of feedback mode. Can we call you right back? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Bummer. Sorry.
Yeah, let me call you right back.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Shawn.
Wow.
Yeah, that was strange, huh? I'm not sure. It's like a robotic or something.
I was going to say he's a rapper too.
No, right? He probably is.
The many
actually.
talents he probably is.
He would do really well, I'm sure.
Gosh, that was weird.
Yeah, that was weird with Skype. Skype sometimes does that.
The
Shawn,
magic of live.
there we go. There you
Totally.
go. Okay, so you were saying and then it cut out on really, and so I wasn't sure what you said after that.
Oh man, it was good, whatever it was.
Oh man.
I know, right?
So I think I was saying that, recently it really hit me that I needed to do something more impactful. I needed to do something that would reach out and touch people in a deeper level. And, mostly in my clinic, we focused on nutrition and fitness, but the conversation of health usually stops there with exercise and diet. But there's so many other facets. And that's why the word holistic really means a lot to me. And it's been really overused. People not really understanding what that means. It's the whole thing. What are the other parts of you? Your relationships, your stress, the conversations in your own mind. And the big one here, which I found is my leverage point, was sleep. This was like the wicked stepchild or something that nobody in the health conversation really wants to talk about, and if we do, we say, you should be getting 8 hours of sleep, blah, blah, blah. But it's such a huge topic, and never once in this new book do I tell you need to get blank hours of sleep, because it's not about that. It's about optimizing your sleep and really taking advantage of what it's for. And sleep, and what I found in this crazy amount of research I've done, is that it is the anabolic state. It is known as a heightened anabolic state. And this is when your body produces all of the really powerful growth hormone, the rejuvenative hormones, your melatonin, all the things that help to prevent cancer. Melatonin might be the most powerful endogenous anti-cancer hormone that we produce. And if your stuff is out of alignment and you're not optimizing your sleep properly, you're going to be subjected to possible cancer situation, So,
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of scratching the surface on this stuff. But yeah, I'm just so passionate about this. And I want to see people getting great sleep so that, they can have their energy levels up, because people don't do well because they don't feel well. And a big part of that is getting quality sleep.
Is it true that I've heard over the years that people say that you produce the most amount of melatonin anywhere from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m.? Is there any truth to that?
It's actually earlier than that. But from 10 to 2 is, and I actually dedicated a chapter to this, because, so what's going on there is that a lot of experts recommend that the hours between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. are the real, and I call it money time sleep.
Okay.
This is when you're getting the greatest secretion of these different hormones that are anabolic and rejuvenative and brain repair. Because one of the things that happens while you sleep is something called memory processing. So your short-term memories get converted to long-term memories. The majority of that happens in that money time window. Now, here's why it's called that. It's actually, if our circadian rhythm or our circadian clock, which we all have, this is not some airy-fairy thing. This is like as solid as the clock on your phone. We are lined up with nature. And it's just like kind of remembering that. So if our circadian clock is on point, we're going to be secreting melatonin when it starts to get dark outside. Okay. And so when we get to around the hour of around 10 o'clock, there's going to be an actual increase in metabolic, basically in metabolic happenings in your body. Your body's going to turn up the energy, but that energy is supposed to be used for you while you're sleeping to repair your body and your brain.
Interesting. Okay. So now
if we stay up past that, 10, 11 o'clock, because a lot of people, they'll be like, they're leaving home from work, they're yawning, it's 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, they're like, I can't wait to go to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
But if you stay up past that time, you're going to get what's called the energy second wind. And this is where you're like, I was tired before, but now you're like locked in. You feel like doing stuff.
Yeah.
And that metabolic energy used to repair you is now being used to fuel whatever activity you're doing. And you're going to be producing more daytime stress hormones now and really screw up your sleep pattern.
Interesting. So my question was about the sleep and the 10 o'clock thing. Because if I'm just thinking as you're listening, if someone were to go to sleep at 10, it might take them a couple hours maybe to get into the deep REM sleep. Do you want to go to sleep if you can at 8 so that by 10 you're actually in the deepest form of sleep?
Well, oh man, this is such a can of worms here. The first thing that I mentioned was that, nowhere in my book am I saying like you need to get this many hours of sleep, but optimizing your sleep could be a matter of timing. It's like timing an investment. It's not really matter how much you're investing. It's when you're investing.
Okay.
That's the big deal here. But we don't want to be too neurotic about this. And the reality of this, Justin, is that if you're setting your stuff up right, if you're stacking the conditions in your favor, you're not going to be, rolling around in bed for 2 hours. As soon as you go to get in the bed, you're going to be asleep within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're doing the things that I talk about in the book. So that won't be an issue. And also with 8 o'clock being in question, it really depends, Justin. It depends on the time of year. It depends on how far you are from the equator. It depends on daylight savings times. Like even these times are not written in stone. But I can tell you one thing, here in the US, we're moving into the summer solstice. Like we're going into that time period where we have longer days. So this is nature kind of giving us permission and telling us, hey, you could stay up a little bit later. Go have some fun. Go and, do whatever it is that you want to do,
Yeah.
And we can get by and do that. And we're going to feel good, getting a little bit less sleep because we're also getting all the other benefits of being up. We're getting more sunlight, more activity. However, during the wintertime, the days are shorter and our ancestors would be turning in earlier as well, because if you're out, in darkness, like we literally it's so funny that we've grown up in this, but it hasn't been that long, barely over a century that we've even had like electricity. And if you were up messing around at night, you might get snatched up, you might be attacked by an animal. You might end up getting captured by a rival tribe or something. It's much more dangerous. But today we're so comfy, cozy. There's no real dangers. And it's just like, the time doesn't even matter anymore. We can recreate and simulate daytime no matter what time it is, no matter where we are in the world. We can flip open our laptop and do the laptop lap dance at like 2 in the morning. It doesn't even matter.
Isn't it a weird
what that's doing is really throwing off our sleep cycle.
It is such a weird thing how we can manipulate daytime with all the light.
Isn't it, though?
It's so strange, isn't it?
Right. And that's kind of what I'm pointing people's attention back to. It's not like, let's not have fun anymore, but just understand again, like, we have such an amazing design. And a big reason why I love you guys, I love your show, is that it's really dedicated to the conversation of health. How do we be as healthy and vibrant as possible? And a big part of that is getting back connected with nature, and understand that we are part of nature. And when we, sway too far from that, some problems can happen, and our body's going to give us feedback in the form of diseases to kind of, it's like an alarm for us to change. And one of the main parts that I've been seeing people not addressing is the sleep. And this is actually like the secret sauce. And we could talk more about it and how it all impacts the brain and the body and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. The first time I heard anyone talk about sleep was many years ago. It was David Wolf, and he was talking about how, a lot of people, him included, were living on 4 hours of sleep, and how breatharians could sleep very, very little because they don't consume a lot of food and all that kind of thing. I'm starting to not agree with that. I'm not sure. I mean, I have no idea. All I know is that I've done many different swings in my diet, and I always seem to need around 8 hours or so.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to feel like yourself, to feel good. Mm-hmm. And, that's all cute. You know what they're saying? That's cute. Yeah. And that's fine, and there are going to be anomalies. There are going to be exceptions to the rule. But generally, it's like we're human. We're not like whatever that is, Yeah. And I have had the experience, though, let me be completely straight, is that when I was just took on full 100% raw food diet back, a few years ago myself, I did require a little bit less sleep. It wasn't, maybe I'd get, and I don't like to say the numbers because I don't want people to be focused on that. But, right now, maybe I'll get 7.5 hours of sleep is perfect for me. But then maybe it was 6.5. Mm-hmm. Right. And I felt fine. I felt like myself. And also when I'm fasting, because a lot of the energy, even when you're sleeping, is required for digestion, assimilation, metabolism of the food that you've got in your system. Mm-hmm. So it's going to free up a little bit more energy to heal you. Yes. But at the same time, it's not like permission to start depriving yourself of sleep because you've got this ideal, like I should be sleeping like this health expert and just 3 hours is cool. Yeah. You got to listen to your own body, and if you're feeling like you're walking around in the twilight zone because, you decided like, I'm just going to sleep for 3 hours like this guy, you got to check yourself. Because it's really about listening to your own body.
Shawn, do you have any practical tips for people? Because I know when I hit the 10 o'clock hour, like you were saying, I get a second win and I'm up there. I could be up till 1 and it wouldn't matter. But for people to kind of ramp down leading up to that sleep, what do we do in order to to stop our brains?
Absolutely. Wow. One of the things that I pride myself on is that every single chapter in my book ends with power tips. Nice. How do you apply what I just taught you? So it's 21 chapters, 21 proven tips in this book, and each one has power tips at the end to actually implement the stuff. So nice. One of the chapters, one of my favorite chapters is calm your inner chatter. Okay. And this is talking about, and this is one of my favorite quotes is that my bed is this magical place that I go to remember everything I was supposed to do today. Because when we get into the bed, we start thinking about all the random stuff, totally. All the things we were supposed to do, and your brain just goes on hyperdrive. And the reality is like, you're in your pajamas or whatever, like you can't do anything about it right now.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Why do we think we can?
Yeah, exactly. And this is just kind of the nature of the human mind that's untrained. And what I want people to understand is that first and foremost, there's nothing wrong with you if you have a lot of thoughts. There's nothing wrong with you. It's actually a great gift to be able to process as much information as we do. Now, on the other side, though, we want to be able to turn the volume down whenever we want to. And with that said, some of the things that I recommended in the book for calming the inner chatter and actually improving your sleep quality was this word that you guys heard before. You know this before. I know people have talked about this on the show before. Meditation. Mm-hmm. Okay? Meditation, and I like to call it brain training. So what was found is that, and I cited several studies in here, is that individuals with sleep issues, they put them on a program of meditation for, it was 8 to 12 weeks. And what they discovered was that they were spending more time in the deep reparative sleep stages. Uh-huh. And also their alpha waves were stronger. And what that indicates is that they had a stronger ability to control their thoughts and to focus. So if you want to shift your focus off of all this randomness and just kind of focus on being present, being in your body and going to sleep, relaxing, you're better able to do that once you start to implement a program of meditation. And this is not about drinking the Kool-Aid. None of that stuff is like, this is real proven stuff that can actually help to change, like literally will change the way your brain operates and it will grow your brain in a different way.
So interesting.
And here's 2 tips. The best times for meditation is when you're already close to those alpha states. So these are the different brain waves. We've got the beta, then the alpha is the next level after that. And that's when you're kind of in that transition in or out of dream world, or in or out of your sleep, and your brain waves are starting to slow. So alpha, the best times to meditate is right when you wake up, so close to waking up and also close to going to bed.
Okay.
That seems the most natural in my life. I mean, I feel like those are the times when, I mean, it's sitting down in the middle of the day, intending to meditate just seems so ridiculously hard to even go there, you know?
So the end of the day is a little bit more challenging?
Yeah. Well, I think so. I agree with you. The beginning and the ends make more sense. Middle of the day, just it's a lost cause.
Yeah.
Well, the great thing is that there's so many wonderful technologies that we have to be able to help in this. So, because the busyness of the day can kind of take over. So, having a strategy of meditation that is something where you can like do a guided meditation. Just be like, maybe you set an alarm. You set an alarm that turns on at like noon. It's like, okay, this is my 5-minute meditation, and you put on the headphones and then you listen to one of these guided meditations. That can help to secrete more endorphins and caffeines and just reduce the stress, reduce the cortisol in your system, and help you to have a better day from there on out. But I'm not saying people need to stop their day and do it, but there are strategies to do it. It's as simple as like what I just said. Probably nobody's thought of it. Not nobody, but a lot of people have never thought of it. Like, I can set an alarm to meditate, in the middle of the day. But really, I think the ideal thing is doing it in the daytime. And what the research showed was that people who meditate in the morning slept better at night.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah. What about in the meditating in the middle of the day?
Middle of the day, I didn't really see much data on that.
Interesting. So it's good to do it in the morning, and then because they always say with meditation, it's interesting. They'll say that all the benefits of the meditation come when you're not meditating. The whole idea is to improve the other parts of your life. The meditation is just it's sort of like practicing if you're going to be a basketball player shooting jump shots or something. All the benefits come when you hit the game-winning shot. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, this is meditation for me. It's a very important and intimate part of who I am. I know that, all the challenges I kind of went through earlier in my life with my own health and my own finding out what I'm even here to do, meditation really helped to clarify things for me. And I'm somebody, I think one of the things that kind of sets me apart sometimes in conversations is that I have this quality about speed of implementation. So when I find out about something, I really get into it and I apply it. And so when I started meditating, I started doing it 32 minutes every morning. I was doing this particular meditation for 3 years.
Wow.
Even when I traveled, like I would sit, like if my wife was asleep, I would go into the bathroom and sit and do this meditation. And I can't believe I did that, like looking back on it. Because now I've got I've got a 2-year-old. It's just not happening. So, but what that allowed me to do was, it's so beautiful. I wish that everybody could experience this, but my life became meditation. It just really started to filter itself and bleed itself into the rest of my life, and I was so, no matter what was going on around me, problems, extreme things even, I was still there. I was still present. I still had this part of me that I had found that was not hurt, that was not rattled, that was peaceful, and I can't even put it to words. I didn't even know I was going to get into this, but I really think that in our world today, especially where we've got so much coming at us, I think that it's one of the most valuable things to have access to and have this skill, because it's a skill. It's not that, I just can't do that meditation thing. Maybe you just haven't found the right meditation, and there's so many more resources. And of course, I put some in the book for people to check out, but it's just finding that thing. And it doesn't have to be like you're sitting like in a closet with your legs crossed. It can be as simple as walking in the park and paying attention to counting your steps, or gardening, like you can make that into a wonderful meditation just by being present. It doesn't have to be this like cookie cutter thing.
I love it.
But I do think it's really, really important today.
I love it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, as well as some other sleep tips and things like that, with Shawn Stevenson. His website is the ShawnStevensonModel.com. If you're interested, he's got his own podcast, great radio show. He's doing, pumping those things out with lots of articles on his site. Highly suggest you check out his website and sign up to his newsletter list too, where he's got tons of great information on there. So make sure to do that, and we will be right back with Shawn right after this break. If you are currently using any hair care products that contain dyes or colorings, these things can be carcinogenic. You see, anything we put on our skin, even in the shower, gets into our bloodstream and causes a toxic overload to our organs over time. That's why we only recommend Morocco Method hair care products, because they're 100% chemical free, 100% organic, raw, vegan, and even wild crafted and picked according to the lunar cycles. Listen to what our guest Anthony Morocco says about foaming agents in the shampoos.
Well, number one with hair care is the sodium lauryl sulfate, which is the foaming agent, which is really carcinogenic and it's very, very toxic. So that's number one. And so they're so afraid of it. The industry has made 38 different names for it. They've created cocamide, they've created coconut, they've created palm oil. But anything that foams is sodium lauryl sulfate. So I would say that you really need to read your ingredient lists. And if you cannot pronounce the word, it's made in a laboratory.
So would even organic hair care products that foam, would those be damaging as well?
Yes. Organic really today is not what it used to be. So it's just the word. It really, to me, is not reality. If you want a real product, you want to look at wild craft.
As a former hairstylist, I love Anthony's products. If you'd like to have truly healthy and luxurious hair, no matter what your texture, go to extremehealthradio.com/MM for Morocco Method or see it in our store. Again, that's extremehealthradio.com/MM to learn even more.
If you have any digestive problems whatsoever, I highly recommend getting a Squatty Potty that sits right underneath your toilet. Squatty Potties help give relief from constipation and bloating, hemorrhoids and straining, IBS, pelvic floor, and bladder issues. See, as humans, we are designed to squat when we eliminate, and when we sit on a toilet, that angle kinks and pinches off the puborectalis muscle in your colon, and the Squatty Potty opens the colon to eliminate more quickly and completely. Listen to what Daniel Vitalis has to say about that.
One of the reasons I love to promote the idea of the squat toilet is because, for a couple of reasons. One, there's a ligament that wraps around your colon that prevents you, when you're in the seated position, from being able to have an effective bowel movement. But that ligament's loosed when we're in a full squat. So people are fighting their own body to defecate this way. Now, in the rest of the world, people defecate in the squat. Use a squat toilet. I'm so big on this. I've got a video on my website about that. But I really believe that it's important we start to actually defecate in an anatomically correct position. So, nobody sits on chairs to defecate except people in the West. And we have more rectal and bowel problems than anybody, more constipation than anybody. But this actually puts our body in a disadvantageous position for trying to go to the bathroom. So if you don't have a squat toilet or don't want to invest in one, I don't know, stack some books up. But get something where you can actually squat up above the toilet, or at least get your knees up higher.
Justin and I love our Squatty Potty. Start improving your digestion and elimination today by going to extremehealthradio.com/squat or see it in our store. Again, go to extremehealthradio.com/squat and watch the video to learn more.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
Okay, I'm listening to him, and I think it is Tallahatchie roll something.
Roll over me? That's what people think.
Is it roll over me?
That's what I heard. I don't know.
He's running there. We're having a great time here.
Oh, you are funny. We heard that. We got that. We know that much.
We'll Shazam it later, actually. We'll find out what he's singing about.
Oh, you are funny.
We're having a great time here with Shawn Stevenson talking about sleep and how to improve your sleep. And like he was talking about earlier, it's almost like the 900-pound gorilla in the room that no one really wants to talk about. No one really wants to. I don't know why. I don't understand how it's that big of a situation in terms of a topic to avoid.
I know.
But
for some reason, maybe it's because we all feel like it's stressful thinking about it. Like, how are we going to squeeze one more thing in that we know is important that we already don't have time for, supposedly,
I know,
it's
right?
like one of the most important things, but we all stress out about it.
We all have to sleep.
It's not good.
So if you guys have any questions about that Morocco Method hair care products or the Squatty Potty toilet that we just ran the ads for, please let me know. I'd love to help you out on that. And we broadcast 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And this is episode 259. So you can join the live chat room on that day, and you can also check out that podcast as soon as we make it available. So you can check that out. And Shawn, before the break, we were talking about meditation and how that plays a role with people and how they can improve their sleep through meditation, in the mornings time. What are some other tips that you might have for people either throughout the day or maybe before bed?
I think that something that Kate just brought up is really important. And looking at, it's just kind of, sleep can be like, it's another one of those things that's supposed to fit in, right? Mm-hmm. And it can be a little bit of a nuisance for people. It's just like, well, I've got this going on, I'm going to have to cut away to sleep. And one of those things that people look at is they want to get in shape. They want to, and for that, of course, it's usually tied to diet. And the big one is exercise. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, I need to get up and start working out. So I'm going to cut an hour of my sleep away. And this is a big, big, big mistake. And I talked quite a bit about this. One of the chapters in my book is titled Train Hard But Smart. When we're really lined up with our proper circadian rhythms and our hormonal secretions, we get a big spike of cortisol right around 6 in the morning if our body's not out of whack.
Okay.
And that's for the purpose of doing activity. If we're deciding like, you know what, I've got to be at work at whatever time, 7, so I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to hit the gym. Uh-huh. Oh my goodness, man. It's one of the craziest things that you could do. And it's because you're forcing a cortisol secretion way before it naturally would happen. And that's going to have a tendency to depress your melatonin secretion in the evening. Oh. So I looked at one particular study. It was Appalachian State University. And they had exercisers to exercise at 3 different times, 7 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m. Exercise in the morning is actually found to be the most effective, but not too early. And what they found was that the exercisers who worked out in the morning spent 75% more time in the rejuvenative deep sleep stage. So that's also saying that if we're exercising too late in the day, especially, man, one of the things that's like a pet peeve of mine, I think it's the first time I've ever said pet peeve, but I guess it's one of those, is these 24-hour gyms, right? Where it's just like you can go swipe your card and you can work out at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And that's cute. That's cute for like a tweeting, here at the gym crushing it's 2 a.m. What? But what you're really doing is wrecking your health long term. And usually, of course, it's going to tend to be people who are younger. And everybody's kind of heard this before, is that, you can kind of get away with more stuff. Mm-hmm. But what you're going to do, and what I unknowingly was doing when I was in college, is accelerating my aging process. Mm-hmm. You're going to be burning away your telomeres, which I know you guys talked about this on the show probably before. Mm-hmm. Right. This is like your biological marker for how you age. You're going to be burning through those things like, it's just going to be insane how quickly you're going to start aging your body. And all because we don't understand these basic principles. Is that because you're up at that time or actually working out at that time, do you think? Both. You're up and you're working out? Forget about it. Forget about it. It's a double whammy. Yes. It's really, really not a good thing for your hormones. Okay. Obviously you're not going to be secreting melatonin, which is your number one anti-cancer hormone. Powerful anti-aging, powerful just rejuvenative, just affirmative health protecting hormone. It might be, I'm not going to say it's the most powerful hormone that we produce, but it's way up there. It's got to be, right? And you're not going to be secreting it because number one, you're up. Number two, you're working out. So you're obviously going to be secreting a tremendous amount of cortisol while you're working out. And that's good, but if you do it at the right time. And what the research shows is that early morning exercisers get better sleep. Now, I also put a strategy in there for if you do work out later in the day, here's what you need to do. And this was tied to something called thermoregulation. Uh-huh. And basically, when your body starts to shut down and get ready to go into sleep, there's a core temperature drop that elicits certain patterns and hormonal secretions and programs in your body to get the best sleep. So if your core temperature is too high when it gets around this time by, you being just somebody who keeps your house really hot, or you're wearing too many layers of clothes, or you're working out, which is another crazy one, your core temperature is going to be too high close to bedtime. So when you're working out, say if you work out in the early evening, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, that can really set you up for a great night's sleep, because with that core body temperature increase when you're working out, it's actually going to, what the studies show is that it's going to drop a little bit lower than it normally would right around 4 or 5 hours later. So that's going to help create the conditions for you getting a better, deeper sleep.
That's
interesting. But if you're working out at 8 o'clock and then trying to go to bed at 10, it might be a problem.
It might be a problem. So is that why intuitively I love to sleep when it's kind of cold in the room? Is that something that's good for people, do you think?
Absolutely.
It is.
Another chapter is titled Be Cool.
There you go.
Okay.
And I talk about this whole concept of thermogenesis and how to utilize it, because I'm going to guess that maybe Kate doesn't like it as cold.
That's true.
All right.
Very true, Shawn.
I had no idea, but I kind of do, Same thing with me and my wife. Same thing with a lot of couples, it's that yin and yang. And so my wife, like during the wintertime, she's got this little heater that I can't stand. This is like, she snuggles up close to the heater. I'm like, use me, not the heater. But, she tends to be more cold natured. And so here's the secret. When she bundles up and puts all these clothes on, she's sweating at night. It's going to disrupt your sleep when you get too hot. You're overheating because your body will sort itself out. It's just kind of like this self-preference that we have of not being cool. All right. So you want to be careful with putting on too many layers of clothing, number one. And number two, just allowing yourself to kind of get acclimated to it being a little bit cooler would be really, really beneficial. And not just for sleep, but then there's a lot of data showing like with fat loss and all these other things, like with Tim Ferriss and the cold baths and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that right now, but we don't want to be afraid of being cooler. All right.
Okay.
If anything, it's really going to contribute to your health if you make it a little bit cooler in your surroundings. So I do definitely recommend that, Kate. But for you, what I would say is this, and I put this in the book too, is that if you are colder natured, it's about circulation. So it's going to be your extremities mainly. So your feet and your hands.
Yep.
So wear a pair of warm socks. When Justin's like, I want to be a little bit cooler, make sure that you're not getting in the bed and freezing him up with your cold feet touching him. Right? And so
they don't even get that far, Shawn. He'll kick me.
I've done it too. So, and with that though, I want to make this clear. When I'm saying warm socks, I'm not saying tight socks that are going to cut off your circulation, cut off your lymphatic system. When you peel those socks off and there's you could see the perfect indentation of like a Nike sign in your skin.
That's the worst.
Not those socks. So get like some hiking socks, kind of fluffy, and make sure that your feet are warm, and get closer in bed. You guys will, it'll heat up under there pretty quickly, and and everybody's going to sleep better because of it.
So what do you think about, we've had a guy on our show a couple times, Sidney Ross Singer, and he's been on your show, I think. He talks a lot about sleep attire. He talks a lot about, the angle of the bed and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. In terms of attire, what do you recommend for people to sleep in?
I don't want to be like, there's a chapter for this, but there's it's actually, the chapter's titled Dress for the Occasion. And our pajamas, it is actually a mental trigger to relax and wind down for the day. So when you get home and you kind of got like your outer world uniform on, and you put on your pajamas, it's like a signal to relax. So it does matter with this whole, with what you're wearing to bed. I actually cited Sid Singer in the book, and particular studies showing that women who wear their bra to bed have a 60% greater incidence of breast cancer.
I believe it.
Okay.
Really?
And of course, one of the things that he talks about is that cutting off the lymphatic system. So if you're taking your bra off and you see those lines under your breasts, on your sides, around your shoulders, that is clear indication that you're cutting off your lymphatic system. And the best time, I mean, this is kind of Captain Obvious here, is when you go to bed, is to this is a good opportunity to not wear your bra.
Yep.
But there's so much fear with that's instilled in women from a very young age that, if they're not wearing their bra, then their girls are going to sag.
Right.
I actually counter that in the book and cite studies showing that no, it's just not true. Actually, there's certain muscle fibers that surround the breast, that support the breast, that if you're not utilizing them by keeping them weightless in a bra all the time, they start to atrophy. So it was found that bra wearing actually accelerated breast sagging. So, and I'm not saying let's go and burn the bras, it's not like that. Let's get a bonfire going. It's not like that. It's more like, just be aware of this.
Yeah.
you know, and let's spend some time like not in the bra and let your body breathe. So yeah, definitely what you wear to bed totally matters. And so for men, do you want me to give some recommendations?
Yeah,
please.
Okay. So for men, it would be real basic stuff, you know, boxer shorts, basketball shorts, loose fitting t-shirt if you want, or you can just go naked, you know. But here's the other thing is that for men, you don't want to wear like tighty whities when you go to bed. Okay. You don't want to wear tight underwear that are keeping your family jewels or your scrotum is the medical term, but your family jewels like pushed into your body and they're not able to self-regulate and they can get overheated. So you're kind of like cooking your little soldiers. All right. Too much.
Oh man.
Okay. So you don't want to wear tight underwear when you go to bed. It's just another opportunity to just kind of be free, like wear some boxer shorts, wear some shorts. And yeah, so that's for the men. For the women, so like flowing clothes, flowing lingerie, t-shirt, boy shorts, your significant other's shorts or t-shirts.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing that I mentioned in the book. But it's definitely not like the mama's family nightgowns, like or nothing like that. I'm not talking like that. We're going to keep it sexy. Yeah. But, or of course you can go naked as well. And there was actually some big benefit that I found in the research that when couples sleep naked, you've got greater secretion of oxytocin, which is a very, very potent, or it's definitely for connection, but this can help to elicit deeper sleep and relaxation. Okay. And this can just be from massage, from touching, or of course, you know, being close when you don't have any clothes on. And of course, then it also might lead to more sex, which is another benefit.
That's always a good thing.
With sleep. I mean, like you see the movies, like the guy, you know, he's usually knocked out afterwards or whatever.
Right.
But for both men and women, and, you know, I talk about this is the big O, right? And what you're going to get is like a cocktail of powerful hormones, endorphins and enkephalins, oxytocin, prolactin, which is really interesting. And these hormones were found, like they injected mice, which I'm not like recommending animal studies or anything like that, but in this particular study, they were injecting the mice with the prolactin, and they would find that they would get sleepy immediately. Okay, and there's a big secretion of prolactin when we have an orgasm, both men and women. And what was found in the research, it was really interesting, was that, and by the way, you don't need a partner to do this for the single people out there.
Yeah.
It's okay. But when you do have a partner, what was found is that men secrete 4 times more prolactin when they have an orgasm with their mate than when they do it via masturbation. So, and what that is basically, you know, it just makes you more relaxed and more calm. And it's just those little interesting little facts and little tidbits that I throw in there. But of course, I put it together in a way that's fun and engaging and super interesting and easy to read, you know. So I'm making like this, some of these medical studies make sense and just like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's cool. I can try that.
Right,
you know?
Right.
Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break right now, but Kate, I think you want to get one question in before the break. Is that correct?
Yeah, Shawn, I have a quick question. I love sleep. I do. I love sleeping naked. I think it's more free and whatever. But you know what's funny? Those nights I do that, I get really hot. It's like I could just throw on a pair of even shorts and a tank top and not get as hot. Why is that?
That's really interesting. It's probably because of course, you know, when you're under the cover, like your clothes themselves are a little bit of an insulator from the covers. Okay. And just like you're creating like a little oven under those blankets.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have that insulation. So there's more receptor sites. Your skin is more, it's more engaging with the blankets, and with your bed itself is going to start to resonate with you, and you're just going to produce a lot of heat.
Okay.
And I noticed that too, but it's just kind of, you know, it depends on the person.
Right.
You know, it really depends on the person.
I was wondering if I was crazy or unique in that. I'm like, because I love the feeling, but I hate getting that hot. So sometimes I'm like, in the summer, it sounds like the most refreshing thing to do, but it ends up doing the opposite, you know?
Yeah, you are crazy.
Well, I know
and
that.
Hey, you're crazy good.
Justin would agree.
This is a great show with Mr. Shawn Stevenson. If you guys are interested in his book, I just shared it in our chat room. It's called Sleep Smarter, 21 Proven Tips to sleep your way to a better body, better health, and bigger success.
Nice.
So we're going to get more into that book. And I wanted to ask Shawn also, we had Dr. Richard Hansler on the show, episode 231, talking about low blue lights and these incredibly unique and weird glasses that I wear every night to prevent the blue light from coming from the computer screens and stuff like that. And apparently they have an effect on your melatonin levels. So I wanted to ask Shawn about that after the break. And this is episode, what is it, 259?
You got it.
Okay, I did remember that correctly. Okay, episode 259, and we'll be right back with Shawn right after this break. I have been a huge fan of Rebounding for many, many years. And if you want to get in great cardiovascular shape, tone your legs, back, and butt, and stomach, as well as cleanse your lymphatic system from toxins and chemicals, you just have to start Rebounding. It's imperative. And not only will it create endorphins that quickly become addictive to you, but it's very low impact as well. It helps to prevent sicknesses and diseases, as well as increase bone density, and it flushes toxins from your lymphatic system. It's amazing. And not only that, but it's a ton of fun also. I do it every single day for about 15 minutes. And we found the best rebounder on the market today in the world, bar none. It's called the Bellicon Rebounder. It's the Rolls Royce of rebounders, in my opinion. And let's listen to some of what our guests have had to say about rebounding. Robert von Sarbacher is a health researcher and creator of the Mini Beat Protocol. And Robert, what's your favorite exercise?
In general, probably one of the number one anti-aging exercises on the planet is rebounding. So 15 minutes a day is good for that. You can find people who have had thermography scans on cancers, giant tumors, and when they're doing a rebounder, it would start spewing out and shrinking right in front of your eyes, the tumor would, as they're on the rebounder. So it's really good for that sort of thing. It's also very good for exercising internal organs. It's the only internal organ exerciser that I know of known to man.
Dr. Lindsay Duncan is the CEO and founder of Genesis Today. And what's the best way that you think of to stimulate the lymphatic system of the body?
Rebounding is incredible because it's good for the lymphatic system, and there's more lymph fluid in the body than there is blood. And the quickest way and the most effective way to get the lymphatic system flowing is through rebounding itself.
Yeah, because the lymphatic system can't really detox itself, can it? I think you know.
No, the heart, we have the heart, thank you, for pumping blood. And we don't have a heart to pump lymphatic fluid. The only thing that really can pump lymphatic fluid is cardiovascular exercise utilizing the thighs, the thigh muscles. And that's why rebounding and getting a burn in that thigh muscle is so important for the flow and the stimulation of the lymphatic fluid.
Wow, and they even put cancer patients on rebounding, don't they?
Nutritionists do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but not a conventional doctor. But yeah, I've been learning about rebounding lately. It's quite an amazing thing.
Yeah, rebounding's amazing.
Health researcher and author of Cancer Step Outside the Box, Ty Bollinger. What do you do in your life to prevent cancer?
What do you do to treat cancer? What do you do to prevent it? Rebounding is something that I try to do on a daily basis. A little mini trampoline for those people that aren't familiar with the term rebounding, but it's basically just jumping up and down on the little mini tramp. What that does is it stimulates the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is one of our primary detoxification systems in our body, and most folks don't stimulate their lymph flow, and so the toxicity in their body builds up because their lymph is not stimulated, and the up-down motion on a rebounder stimulates the lymph flow better than just about any other exercise. So I do that almost on a daily, probably 5 days a week. I would say I average doing that.
And finally, author and speaker and creator of the Longevity Now program, David Wolf. Do you think the Bellicon is the best rebounder on the market today?
Absolutely. I was just with the crew in Europe that does the Bellicon Rebounder, which is an incredible rebounder. My God, what a machine. And it doesn't use metal springs. It uses like flexi ropes. So it's very soft and fun, and it's just great to play with.
Well, there you have it. The up and down G-force actually stimulates every single cell in your body. It's incredible. And as someone who works out in the gym a lot and does Qigong, I think that the best physical aerobic exercise, in my opinion, is rebounding. It's just absolutely incredible for the human body. And the Bellicon is silent, and it comes with a warranty. And you can get them in several different sizes and colors, and some of them have bars that you can hold on to in case you're worried about balance. It's a well worth it investment in your health and in your future. So check them out in our store if you'd like, or you can check out the videos on extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. Again, that's extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. That's B as in boy, ELLICON.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
And I did my little rebounding session this morning before the show on how to do 20 minutes on the old Bellicon.
You did. I did not.
I love it. It's such a good way to wake up, I felt.
I'm feeling guilty.
Well, you can always do it later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Bellicon's such a great machine. If you guys are interested in that, please let me know. It's just, it's so soft and so great on your joints. I have a torn ACL. I use it, and it's the only thing I could use that doesn't hurt my knees.
Yeah. Doesn't make your problem any worse. If so, I think it helps. If anything.
Yeah, a very, very interesting little product. So if you guys have any questions, you can always ask me about the Bellicon Rebounder if you're interested in that. And this is episode 259. We're with Shawn Stevenson, the ShawnStevensonModel.com. And his book that we're discussing is Sleep Smarter, 21 Proven Tips to Sleep Your Way to Better Body, Better Health, and Bigger Success. Interesting, a little bit about that, the bigger success. I like that bit about the book, Shawn. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting for me to start to look into the data and find out, other leverage points to start to value sleep again. And one of those things was performance and productivity and focus and memory. And what the data was showing was that, for example, there was a study done where individuals were given a certain task. And then they had the individuals do a task while they were sleep deprived for just 24 hours. And it took them 4 times as long to do the same task.
Really?
So oftentimes when we got to get something done, when we're working on something, we'll sacrifice our sleep to try to put in more hours. But there's a difference between working and being effective. So by you optimizing your sleep and having a schedule going so that you can get the ideal amount of sleep for yourself and optimize your sleep, when you do the work, it's going to take you far less time, number one, and you're actually going to feel good, number two. And number three is if you don't do that, you're going to be, you think you're doing something, but it's just going to take you so much more time. And it's just shifting the paradigm, for people because we automatically have this idea that we got to kind of burn the candle at both ends. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, heard that one
all
a
these
lot.
crazy things about success, and it's just not true. It's just not true.
It's funny because a lot of people, I think I was telling you, Kate, recently about how how they would torture people with sleep deprivation. It's amazing.
Yeah, you can start to go crazy. You know, and one of my favorite quotes is that when you're tired, your best friend can look like your worst enemy.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, right.
I knew there'd be some laughter on this one.
I love that. It's interesting because, if you do a sleep deprivation, really, really strong and you're doing it to torture someone, it can make you go crazy and eventually the person can die. But if you're doing, if you're really burning the candle at both ends on an ongoing basis for 20, 30 years, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're just doing it really small bits every day, huh?
Exactly. That is exactly right, man. And the bigger picture here is that, we're really compromising our normal natural function. And when you want to make a shift and to get in shape and to get on your mission and start to fulfill your purpose and just improve your health, it's going to be much more of a challenge for people because their metabolism can be pretty wrecked. Their hormone secretions can be pretty wrecked by years and years of this staying up and watching Three Stooges or whatever they're watching, you know.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to say one quick thing from something I said in the past, because I didn't want people to get up in arms about the exercise times, you know, and it was actually the strategy. And what I wanted to share was the fact that getting some exercise in the morning, in the early part of the day, is really super valuable. And this doesn't mean you have to go to the gym and get your workout in. You know, this could be, you can maybe do your lifting later in the afternoon if that fits better with your schedule, but do something in the morning to enliven your body. You know, maybe do a little yoga, do the rebounding you guys just talked about. Do something, you know, go for a walk, do something to enliven your body early in the morning, because that is one powerful tip for helping you to sleep better at night.
And that helps you burn more calories throughout the day too, doesn't it?
Exactly. Like, this is classic, like, bodybuilding type info, you know? Yeah. And it's just, the research shows that, you know, you're literally going to give yourself a little bit of a metabolic boost by you being active in the morning. And it's going to definitely have your metabolism running higher, you know? And it's not like the old thing, like you should eat to turn on your metabolism. No, it's really being active to turn on your metabolism. And eating is an activity.
That's true. Hey, what do you think about those low blue light glasses that people are doing these days, where it's like those blue blocker orange glasses
that you're doing these days?
That I'm doing these days. What do you think about those things?
So which ones do you have, like the big bulky ones, or do yours look cool?
No, mine.
His look like Bono.
Yeah,
they do.
Okay.
Mine kind of
cool, dude.
Yeah, they wrap around, and they I don't know, they're just those orange glasses, and they seem to block out all the blue light. I just got them off Amazon.
Yeah, some people swear by them, man. And I definitely have found, because with this book, it wasn't just like, okay, let me research stuff and I'm going to write a book about it. I experimented, man. I did so many experiments. And one of the things that I still do that I just found to be really effective, and it's like a trigger now for wearing these glasses. And for me, you know, even getting those like hardware or protective safety glasses, they're only a couple of bucks. You can grab some of those, and when people come, if somebody happens to come by your house at night, they're going to think you're like building a birdhouse or something. Right. But it's okay. You know, you're still going to look kind of cool, but, you know, definitely the Bono ones are going to be a lot cooler.
Yeah, they are.
And they definitely, because we can get devices or apps on our computers and whatnot to shut off the blue light, like Flux. F.Lux is one of those apps. But what about everything else? You know, because everything tends to be like super lit up around us, like 4th of July, you know, and so wearing those glasses is going to be helpful to really block out. And it's that blue spectrum of light that you mentioned that is really like a sleep sucking light, and it's going to trigger your body to produce more cortisol, that particular spectrum of light. And of course, generally still, the best thing is to be asleep after a couple of hours of it being dark. But if you're in a situation where, yeah, you've got a couple extra things to do, wearing those glasses could be really, really effective for some people.
And I've heard also those glasses prevent your body from making the melatonin. So not only are you producing more cortisol, but you're not producing melatonin, which, you know, obviously is so great for anti-cancer and all kinds of things.
Oh, you flip those, but you're right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you're not producing as much cortisol, and you're producing more melatonin. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like a double thing. But yeah, if you are going to be up and on the computer, I use Flux, and then we talked to Dr. Jack Cruz, who's a kind of a paleo guy, and he said the Flux is really good, but he, in his research, has shown that it's not enough. And so he said that he does the Flux with the glasses, and so I've been doing that as well. And I seem to sleep a lot better when I wear those glasses. I'll wear them for about, 3 or 4 hours before I go to bed, and it seems to really work well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with what he said. It's just, it isn't enough. You know, we have created the environment to where we can even be up doing these activities, you know, staring into this, like, I just saw the X-Men yesterday, and I was just sitting there like, you know what? If somebody like 200 years ago got planted right in this movie theater and watched this, like, their brain would explode.
Yeah, that trips me out.
It's just so much. And plus, of course, it's just incredible what we can create today. You know, anything you could think of, they make it so real. And I think I thought about the whole, if I could take somebody from 200 years ago, because the movie was kind of about, you know, this time travel thing happened and that whole story.
Right.
Yeah, there's so much to start to pay attention to and understand that, you know, our genes have been evolving for hundreds of thousands of years. And only in the like last 100 or last really 50 can we sit up at night and stare into a box. that's shooting out all this light that's triggering our body to produce cortisol. So again, it's not. I love my Mac. I'm not saying to stop using your devices. I'm saying, hey, let's start to pay attention to structuring our life a little bit better so that we don't have to be on those things late at night and shifting our hormones in a negative way. It's really about taking back control. And I know I've worked with so many people over the years that, they've got 4 kids, they've got their 2 businesses, they've got the, husband or wife. They've got a lot going on. It's just like, Shawn, how can I possibly do this? But when I sit with them and I start to find out all those places that time is being wasted, but unknowingly, like watching, I don't know, reruns of Friends every night or something. Nobody's really doing that, I don't think, but, or Walking Dead or something. It's like there's these little small things that we sacrifice in the wrong way.
Yeah, I hear you.
And we can structure it in a different way, because now, hey, how about we get some great sleep and then we have like a little marathon this weekend during the day and watch our favorite show. We can watch Game of Thrones. We'll watch like 4 episodes. How's that sound, honey? But let's get our sleep now.
Yeah.
So there's so many different creative ways to do it.
So what do you think about this whole idea of grounding and EMF protection for during times of sleep? Do you put a lot of stock in that?
I definitely do, yes.
Okay.
Yes. First of all, the data is just it's crazy. It's amazing. Totally amazing. But experientially is the real thing, and I experimented with this significantly. And basically, just for anybody who doesn't know what that is, grounding is basically getting your body, your skin in contact with the surface of the earth, or using grounding technology, which is connected to the earth's diurnal patterns. And it comes through like a grounding wire, a grounding plug into your home. And you can, plug into that and you'll be getting that same effectiveness. And the thing is, like, I've actually used testers to where, is this actually working? Because you can hold this thing and a green light comes on when you're grounded. And so, if you touch the ground itself, this green light comes on. And I'm just holding it. It's crazy. It's like, whoa, my body is producing this, right? But then I went into the house and I touched my pinky on my grounding sheet and the light came on.
Wow.
So what it's doing is it's syncing your body up with the Earth's diurnal patterns. And also it's providing your body with a tremendous amount of free electrons, which is helping to buffer a lot of the free radical activity that's going on in our system. And it's not that this is bad. It's just that we're in a hyper inflamed society, hyper stressed, hyper inflamed, and it's just tearing up our health. So this is one of those defensive mechanisms that our ancestors even unknowingly, probably a lot of times, had access to, which was being in contact with the earth. Most people in our world today, they never touch the earth. They never get in touch with the grass or the sand, things like that, to where, and plus people know experientially, like when you go to the beach after you haven't been there for a long time, you get the best sleep. You probably can't even make it off the beach before you fall asleep.
I know, right? It's true.
Because your body's like, everything is grabbing you and it's just like syncing up, like boom, instantly. Right. Things are getting online, repair is happening. Inflammation is being pushed away. It's so powerful. So yeah, I love the grounding technology, and I devoted a chapter talking about it and different ways to utilize it. You don't got to buy any fancy equipment. You just got to find a way to get yourself back in contact to what created us, what created everything that we're even talking about today.
Good.
There's a couple of questions real quick here in the chat room. I'll just throw 2 at you and you can choose to answer how you want. But one says, what sort of guided meditation does Shawn do? And the other one says, I just joined the show. Can you have Shawn talk about people that have to work during the night? That's important, right?
That's a good one. Oh my goodness. All right, I'll do the first one first really quickly. And I used to do, now I just do little mini meditations where I'll do different things. I'll do what I feel like. Sometimes I'll just focus on my breathing.
Okay.
5-second inhale, 5-second exhale, and maybe have that breath directed somewhere. So maybe to, your Anya chakra, like your third eye, or maybe have it directed to my heart or something like that. Or, I'll just sit and visualize sometimes, and just give gratitude. It's another powerful meditation. But the meditation that I did for so long, and I still do from time to time, is an anahata meditation, which is your heart chakra.
Okay.
So basically, with the guided meditation, there was some humming at the beginning for about 10 minutes or maybe, no, I'm sorry, it was 20 minutes. So you're humming really intensely, which is kind of just, you know, and of course later on because of the experience, you feel so amazing. It's like, wow, you know, the universe is in me and whatever, you know, it's just kind of this weird spiritual kind of experience. But then of course my analytical man brain is like, okay, how did this happen?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Basically that humming is just vibrating a lot of the cells in your body. So when you stop humming, it's just like everything gets quiet.
Okay.
It's this deep, deep silence that you've never heard before.
And is
so at that point, then some little meditative music comes on and you just sit and you're very, very peaceful. And many traditions have utilized humming and om sounds and that kind of thing to kind of set the tone in their body. So,
and do you have a resource for that for the listener?
I do not. I got that meditation from a class that my mother-in-law taught, and that's like she's my secret stash. Like she's my guru. She's my everything. She's my teacher. You know, and I could talk forever about her. But but if somebody wants to send me a message, maybe I could like burn them a CD or something.
Nice.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So I guess the second question now. Woo!
Right.
Okay, so I just went to a friend of mine's wedding, and he was a client of mine, and I helped him to reverse a particular issue he was dealing with. And he was actually in nursing school, and he valedictorian of his class, 4 point whatever GPA. It's like who gets above 4.0, but
4 point ridiculous.
Yeah, 4 point zillion. And, so he was a tutor in this whole thing, but he was working overnight doing his clinicals. And it was starting to really, really wreck his health. And then I bumped into a former client of mine who was at the gym, and she was telling me how she's working overnight, doing nursing. I've worked with a lot of nurses over the years by me working at a university.
Oh, I see.
And she was telling me this whole story. She's trying to get in shape for her wedding, but she's having a really hard time. And I was like, so, you know, what shift are you doing? And of course I knew the bad words, which was the night shift. And, you know, again, a big struggle. And funny thing was, I was like, you know, I was just telling this to one of my former clients, blah, blah, blah. And I was explaining his situation. And she was like, you mean, you know, this guy? She said his name. And funny, they worked at the same hospital. I was like, what?
Oh, my goodness.
And they're young, and already their metabolisms are getting really hurt badly by them working the overnight shift. Wow. So here's what I want to say. The World Health Organization has confirmed that shift work is a class 3 carcinogen.
Oh my gosh.
So just the process of working overnight is a known carcinogen, a cancer-causing agent. And again, this goes back to disruption of your hormones, disruption of your natural patterns, and that's going to get things out of sync with circulation, with your lymphatic flow, with your brain function, with everything that's regulating how your DNA is performing. Now, with that said, I still have to give a huge shout out and props to the people who are protecting our community that have to work overnight.
Right.
But we've got to find better ways to do this. We've got to find maybe cycles or something that we can allow people to get back on track for a while. Maybe like a quarter of the year they work that shift. And you know what I'm saying? So there's better ways of doing this. But the bottom line is this, and I think I've just like super rained on your parade with this, but I'm going to tell you, I've even had clients that I'm like, I'm not going to work with you until you get off of that shift.
Wow,
really?
The number one thing that I'm going to say is set your intention to work on a different shift, because the story in your head is going to be like, you don't understand. This is what I've got. This is what I've got to do. What my client was able to do, because he was like, especially him being a new nurse into the system, he was able to get on a new shift relatively quickly. But first he had to have the idea that he can even do that, you know, and then just start to walk in that direction. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but just set the intention to start to move towards that you get on a healthier shift for you. And the second thing is, I'm just going to tell you, you need to stack every other condition in your favor in your life. Okay. This individual does not have wiggle room to be like, you know what, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and have these Twinkies.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you can't do that. Or you're not in a position where you can't walk and move your body and all the other wonderful things that we need. It's not gonna fix the problem. It can't, because you're out of sync with life right now, with nature. So but everything else needs to be stacked in your favor so that problems don't happen and things don't start to break down.
So they might want to look at like an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, diet, everything, right?
Yes, they have to. I mean, you absolutely must do it.
You have to.
So definitely, I mean, all the stuff in the book, like you got to stack the conditions. When you do get your sleep, optimize that stuff, you know, like make sure you're doing all the strategies that I talk about outside of sleeping at the money time hours. And you'll still get the most bang for your buck possible.
Interesting. And what about food before bed? How long should someone wait after eating before they go to bed? Is there a sweet time for that?
Sweet. I love you said sweet time.
Sweet time.
Well, according to the research, it's really interesting. If someone's overweight, because a lot of times we're talking about food before bed, a lot of people, it's because they're concerned with their weight or their body composition. And what the research showed is that if you're overweight and you're eating close to bedtime, so when any of us eat, even if we're healthy, our body's optimized, we're getting an increase in cortisol.
Right.
And what the research shows is that it's about 5% increase in cortisol secretion. Now, if you're overweight, you can have upwards of 51% cortisol secretion. Okay.
Wow.
So you're getting a tremendous secretion of cortisol. Cortisol is the antithesis. It's the enemy of melatonin. It's the polar opposite. So if you're eating close to bedtime and you're overweight, that's why it's really not a good idea to eat close to bedtime. Not just because like, oh, you're not going to burn off the calories, blah, blah, blah. That's not what's important, you know, because there are many healthy people who like Peter Ragnar, you know, he's like a Jedi with his health thing. There was a time period, I don't know if he still does it, but he'll straight up wake up in the middle of the night and eat like 5 bananas and then go back to bed, right?
Wow.
But, you know, he's an anomaly in many ways, but, you know, it's really understanding that if you want to really optimize your sleep, it's a really good idea to wait at least, especially if you're overweight, 2 hours before you go to bed.
Okay, 2 hours.
And generally for everybody else, I'd say 90 minutes, you know, but it's just not that big of a deal as long as your health is optimized and what you eat is more of an interesting thing to talk about.
So you mean before bed or what, or any time?
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to get into that?
Yeah, please.
Do you have time?
Okay. Well, okay. So there's two different approaches here. If you're going to be eating like really relatively close to bed, you want to eat more fat, you know, so something that won't spark or cause a tremendous secretion of insulin and blood sugar. Okay. And this is for the simple fact that you just want to kind of have something that's very, very slow burning so it doesn't interrupt your sleep. However, because if you ate carbs, like, you know, you ate, and I used to do this all the time. I eat like 3 bowls of cereal and then a banana and go to bed because it would actually knock me out with the blood sugar crash.
That's funny.
But if you eat like that and you go to bed like 30 minutes later, you're going to go hypoglycemic while you're asleep. Your blood sugar is going to crash, and that could be enough to pull you out of sleep and make it harder to go back to sleep. Or maybe it's something more unconscious where it pulls you out of the deeper non-REM sleep. And so if you're going to eat carbs, but if you time it right and eat a higher carbohydrate meal, like if somebody's trying to do like carb backloading or, you know, like they're trying to put on some muscle or something, you know, you might be in a situation where you want to eat more carbs. If you're going to do that, that's where, again, you eat a higher carbohydrate meal, but 2 hours before bed, maybe 90 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, it seems to make sense to make your evening meal a little bit lighter, a little bit less. It seems like, you know, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Definitely being lighter is, again, you're not going to require as much of the, because your body is really allocating a lot of energy to try to digest that food you're eating. You know, so you're not going to be required to allocate as much energy while you're sleeping. It can go to fix other problems and fix other wonderful things that your body needs to take care of.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm really excited about your book. I thank you for the copy that you sent on Kindle, and I'm really excited to take a look at it. Sleep Smarter: 21 Proven Tips to Sleep Your Way to a Better Body, Better Health, and Bigger Success. I got one final question for you.
Sure.
You mentioned Tim Ferriss a while back in the show, and I know he talks about something called polyphasic sleep cycles. And for those that don't know, from what I understand about it, it's basically sleeping for short periods of time, maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes, but all throughout the day, segmented. And I think it cycles through the night too. What are your thoughts about that? It's kind of a weird question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I looked into that. And for me, it's humans trying to hack the system, definitely.
Yeah.
And I really feel that it's totally out of sync with reality, and again, but it could be effective for some people, I'm not saying that it's like the craziest thing to do, but it is the craziest thing to do. It's totally like that in of itself is just so out of alignment with how we're naturally designed. And we're forcing those cortisol secretions, forcing a melatonin turn on, and it's something that I'm pretty sure, because this is a newer invention with humans. If we can study this and look at this long term, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some not so good effects that show up for individuals who would attempt to do that kind of sleep cycle.
I think there's something to that too. When you look at something and it's just intuitively, your very first thought about something like that just seems, that just doesn't seem right. It's something doesn't click with you.
Because if you're trying to go to sleep more frequently through the day, and because you're actually sitting down after an hour, basically it's one of those things where you live for an hour, then you sleep for 20 minutes. Live for an hour, sleep for 20 minutes. For you to naturally to fall asleep that quickly, you'd have to be so freaking tired already.
Right.
The thing is, it's dude, just go to sleep, stop doing that to yourself. So it's just it's not practical at all either.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. And it seems like the argument I've heard for it is that man was never meant to sleep for 8 solid hours, and if we were living in the jungle, we would wake up many times throughout the night because we'd have to protect our compound or protect our people. And, we wouldn't naturally have this block of time where we sleep like we do now, where we're completely safe and protected in our little bedrooms and things like that. But I don't know. It just still doesn't seem to make any sense. I'm not really sold on it. It seems like an interesting concept, and I like to read about it, but I don't think I'll be trying that anytime soon.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
And I wrote the book on sleep.
That's true.
I've been wanting to say that all day.
I wrote the book on sleep.
I love it. So people can find out more about the book on the website is called Sleep. What is the website called?
It's sleepsmarterbook.com. Sleepsmarterbook.com. And also, my show is on iTunes, The Model Health Show. And I got a special show coming out about this. But this show has been so fun. I love you guys.
Oh man! So your show, you were sharing with me a little while ago, is really blowing up on iTunes. Congratulations!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we actually hit #1 in the world in health. Wow. And iTunes is a fickle world. It's like the charts. You'll go in and out, but we actually hit #1. And there's a big catalyst for change, because the conversation starts to get to more people about real health and wellness and vitality. And, I talk about a lot of different things on my show because I have that platform, relationships and reversing diabetes naturally, cancer, all these different issues that people are struggling with. And, that's probably my favorite thing that I enjoy doing right now in my life is doing that show.
I love that. And how often is your show coming out?
So it's once a week. So this week on Wednesday, we got the big Sleep Smarter show coming out. But I don't know. I mean, this show is so good right here. It's just, but still, I definitely want people to tune in. It's over on iTunes, The Model Health Show. And, there's archives of amazing episodes as well. So people got a lot to dive into.
I love that. We were just recommending your product a couple of days ago on our Free For All Friday show, the Fat Loss Code, because we're just talking about how cool it is that you have a product out like that. Because I've been in the bodybuilding niche and I've seen, how those guys do their stuff and the things that they recommend and, work out in the gym. And I hear what people talk about. And your Fat Loss Code is really interesting because it takes a whole different spin. It takes, you're teaching people about superfoods, about herbs. You're teaching people about mindset. You're teaching people about how their organs work. I mean, right. You're not going to get this stuff in the local gym. And so that's a great product, and congrats on that.
Thank you so much, Justin. I really, really appreciate that. I wanted to hear that kind of feedback to see that this was not your run-of-the-mill, cookie cutter fat loss program. This was giving people the keys to the castle, really understanding. So you know what I know about fat loss. How does the body actually burn fat? Like, what program actually tells you that? It's more like, burn some calories, turn up your metabolism. But I actually talk about how does this happen and the different hormones involved, hormone sensitive lipase and lipoprotein lipase and all that stuff. But of course I make it make sense.
I love it.
So that people are empowered.
I love it.
That's what it's about.
We're going to sign off the live show. Please hold on, Shawn, for just a couple seconds here. We're going to sign off the live show. And for all of you that are listening live and in the chat room, we really appreciate it. Kate and I are going to talk further on the podcast, so you can check that out on episode 259. And we're broadcasting 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
And we are live.
And we are live.
Which is so much fun.
That's correct. And on Wednesday, we have Mr. Adam Bergstrom.
Nice.
He'll be talking about his new website, SunSync Nutrition. He talks about solar nutrition and that kind of thing. And then on Thursday, we've got Dr. Norman Robilliard from the Digestive Health Institute. So he'll be talking about digestion and how to improve our digestion. We all need help with that. So Stay tuned for those shows. And then our Fridays, our Free for All Friday show. So thanks everybody for listening live. We really appreciate it. Please pass this show on to your friends if you can. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Well, there's another episode in the record books. What did you guys think about Mr. Shawn Stevenson? Pretty interesting guy. We love Shawn. He was so much fun to talk to and to meet in person a while back. And for those that are listening, Kate actually had to step out and go see a couple clients for work. So she's not on this part of the show, but she'll be back on the next episode. So don't fret. She'll be here. This was episode 259 with Shawn Stevenson. Pretty interesting guy. I really love what he said about sleep. I think that sleep is really, really important. And I think, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, it is the most important thing that you can sort of shore up with your health and your fitness and your desires to live a long, healthy life. Because it's interesting because a lot of times what we'll do, at least what I'll do, is there's a certain amount of health disciplines that I try to do every day. And one of those is the sauna. I'll sit in the sauna for 30 minutes a day, the one that we sell in our store, or I'll jump on the rebounder like I did this morning for a certain amount. I do it about 20 minutes a day. And there's certain, a bunch of these little health disciplines I do. I like to read every day and all these different things. And sometimes when it's getting late, I'll realize, I haven't done my sauna today, or I haven't done my rebounding or something like that. And it might be 10:30 or 10:45 at night, and I realize I should just go to bed. But what I'll do is I'll do my sauna, and then I'll do my rebounder, and then all of a sudden I realize I'm just wrecking my health, because if I start doing exercising at 10:45 at night or doing a sauna and getting really, really hot at night, instead of going to sleep is the most important thing. And I keep needing to remind myself that if I do these other things at the expense of sleep, it's counterproductive. Sleep is the most important thing. It would be better for me to skip the sauna, skip the rebounder, and just get a good night's sleep and get to bed as soon as I possibly can, so that I can start creating melatonin in my body that's very anti-cancer, so that I could start lowering cortisol, so that I can start creating those hormones in my body and resetting my whole system. So it's important for me to realize, and I'm sure for you, that no matter what health disciplines you have, they all come secondary to sleep. If you're interested in more about his book, I'm going to take a look at that. Sleep Smarter, 21 Proven Tips to Sleep Your Way to a Better Body, Better Health, and Bigger Success. He talks about why you need sleep more than exercise to get the best fitness results, how to feel more energized and refreshed, why poor sleep quality depresses brain function, what supplements are safe and helpful and which ones to avoid, what exercises you can do to instantly improve your sleep quality, how the clothes you wear to bed can depress your hormone function, why sleep is a missing ingredient in long-term weight loss, why going to bed at the right time is more important than how many hours you sleep, what mineral deficiency can cause severe sleep problems and how to fix it, the surprising impact that intimacy has on your sleep quality, and how to calm your mind so that you can fall asleep faster. So really, really good things here. 21 proven tips to sleep smarter. Really good stuff. So we'll put a link to that on the show page, episode 259 here. And we'll also make a thread in the forum for this particular show. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in the kinds of things that we talk about here on Extreme Health Radio, or if you're interested in peak health, peak performance, getting the most out of life, and more nutritionally aware, I should say, and really overcoming a lot of your health problems, then join our forum. It's 100% free. You can join, and you don't need to do anything other than just put your name and email address in, and you can join the community of other Extreme Health Radio listeners who are extremely smart. So I would highly suggest you check that out. But one of the things I wanted to talk to him about during the show, I wonder if you guys would have been interested in this, lucid dreaming. 'Cause I'm interested in that subject. I've heard about it for years, lucid dreaming. Do you guys do that? It seems like it would be really interesting to do. I knew of someone back in the day who she would read her college textbooks, sort of skim through them, I should say, just sort of scan them and kind of read them. And then at night, to prepare for the test the next day, she would reread her text in her dream in her sleep. So I don't know how that works, but I'm really interested in doing stuff like that because I would love to be able to do that. A couple other things I wanted to talk with Shawn about too was the angle of the bed. Sid Singer talks a lot about that on our show. He'll talk about how if the bed is raised, if the head of the bed is raised a certain amount of degrees, about 10 or 15, 20 degrees, it lowers glaucoma, it increases blood circulation and lowers blood pressure because all of the blood is not being pooled to your brain. Because when you sleep, apparently on a flat surface, the circulation, the blood starts pooling into your brain and starts causing a mild form of pressure in your head. And so he's seen really good success and results with people with glaucoma, macular degeneration, because this pressure is not in their eyes. And so I was interested to talk to him about that because I know that he's a fan of Sid Singer's work. So I'm sure he talks about that in the book. And then the other thing I wanted to ask him about too was the angle of the head of the bed, because a lot of people have talked about, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but people will talk about how because we're all magnetic beings and we resonate at a specific frequency and we're magnetic, if the head of our bed faces true north, that has a dramatic effect on our sleep. So the North Pole or true north, if you can find out where that is. And so that's an interesting thing. I wonder if there's any merit to that. I've never really done anything with it because the nature of our room doesn't, work for that. But it would be interesting, though, if people did see a somewhat anecdotal improvement in their sleep from changing the angle of their bed and also pointing the head of their bed towards north. But it's really interesting. We have essential oils, and I'm sure he talks about that in the book, going off all night long. There's also a really interesting thing. I don't know if you guys heard our last Free For All Friday show, but there's this thing called Fresh. It's from Fresh and Alive, and it's some kind of pyramid that you plug into your wall, and it emits some sort of scalar wave energy. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. It's some sort of electrical energy that it emits, like negative ions, from like our biomat that we have here, or the negative ions that come up off ocean waves, that electricity that's in the air. Apparently this pyramid does the same thing, and you plug it into your room, into the wall in the room, and it's only about, let's say, 1.5 feet at the base, maybe a foot. So it can sit on your nightstand, and it's got a little light on it that you can turn on or off, kind of like the cap of the pyramid, the way it used to be. Apparently it emits these negative ions and the scalar wave energy that helps improve sleep. I watched a whole, I think it was like an hour-long presentation about it. It seems really interesting. I don't know, it's pretty expensive. I think it's about $400, but perhaps one day when that's in the budget, that'd be an interesting thing to play around with. But we've done lots of other things too to improve our sleep. Like we'll put Chris Kaler's sun ring and his neutralization ring underneath our bed. We'll put crystals underneath the bed. We watched the whole thing on crystals. And a lot of people are doing I don't know if you guys have seen those crystal grids. They'll line up underneath their bed. What they'll do is they'll put a series of crystals, 7 of them, I think 1 for each chakra, and they'll line them up where all of your chakras would be, where you sleep. But then they'll also build a crystal grid in their house, and you can search that on YouTube and stuff like that. But that's interesting too. But there's lots of different things too. I've heard a lot of people talk about how you want to make sure that your room doesn't have the controls for your electricity for your house, the switches, for your whole electrical outlets for your house. Some people have those in their room, so you want to make sure that that's not in the bedroom that you're sleeping in. Or the smart meters, you want to make sure those are off. Or a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll power down all of the electricity in their entire house. before they go to bed. Some of this stuff sounds really good. It sounds like it's something that would be interesting. But, I mean, if you got a family of 4 and you need to get up for school, a lot of this stuff may not be practical. But I think there is a lot of merit to sleeping grounded. If people were to sleep back in the day, they would have slept on the ground, on the earth, on the sand, on the grass. These things are really natural. I think it's really important to try to mimic that as much as you can. So if you can, take your cell phones out of your bedrooms, your computers. If you have an office in your bedroom, try to make sure that you maybe perhaps cover it. So on an energetic level, you're not bringing any stress or negativity into your bedroom. Your bedroom should be a sacred space, a place for you to escape all of the cares of the world. I just think it's really important to make sure that time that you have to sleep is incredibly impactful and you utilize all of it, and you don't sit up and stay up and thinking about things and that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and we sure did. Shawn Stevenson's awesome guy. The ShawnStevensonModel.com is where you can find his podcast and his show, and is also want to let you know about his book too, called SleepSmarterBook.com, and you can check that out as well. You can buy it for Kindle, and you can buy it for the Amazon. If you just want to buy a regular paperback, you can do that. So check that out if you're interested, and don't forget to check out our upcoming shows. On Wednesday, we've got Adam Bergstrom talking about sun sync nutrition and solar timing and solar eating by the sun. So this is kind of goes along the lines of this particular show. And then on Thursday, we have Dr. Norm Robilliard from Digestive Health Institute. He'll be talking about digestion and how to improve your digestion. That's critical in today's world if you want to stay away from or prevent any diseases, because everything starts in the gut. Every disease starts in the gut. And so it's important to have your digestion working correctly. It's important to be absorbing all the minerals in your food and able to utilize those minerals. So digestion is just massive. It's the biggest thing you want to make sure that you're getting correct. So we'll be talking to him. Then on Friday, we got our Free For All Friday show. So we got lots of really cool stuff going on here at Extreme Health Radio. Please pass the show on to your friends if you can. This is episode 259. And like I said earlier, we'll create a little forum thread. So if you want to join the forum, you can do that. And it's time for me to go make a smoothie and pet our little dog here. And we'll put all the show notes in this episode 259. And we really appreciate you guys so much. All of our shows are live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific. And all of our shows are free. So if you want to support us through a donation, you can do so, extremehealthradio.com/donate, to help keep the shows free. We really, really appreciate all of you guys doing that. I know from listening to shows myself, whenever I hear the host talk about this kind of stuff, I kind of just tune out. But it really does help us, and it really means a lot to us if you could donate. But if you can't, we also have a store where you guys can take a look at all the really amazing products and supplements and Vitamix blenders and saunas and biomats and all this stuff in our store. So you can check that out. And then if at the very least, if you'd like to just pass this show on to your friends, that would be awesome. That would be super helpful for us if you just share it on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. If you know of anyone who might need to hear some information about cutting edge health, or perhaps how to improve their digestion or improve their sleep. So hopefully you guys got a lot of good tips out of this. So with that said, I hope all you guys are doing well today, no matter where you are in the world. And thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too, that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease.